Oh, hey, didn't see you there. What are these, you may ask? Oh, these are just storyboards and notes for my latest short film. Smooth as always. What's up guys, Marco here, and yes, from that little intro there, I'm creating a new short film. As you may or may not be able to tell, I am pretty excited. And yes, some of that excitement is from nervousness, but that's a good thing. Nerves mean that you care. So I thought I would take you through this planning journey, show you everything that I've learned and everything that I've learned in my previous one. So yeah, let's get to it. Oh, no, I need those. So when I know that I want to make a new short film, my creative flow goes a little something like this. I go through all my previous notes over the years, looking at different stories, different points, seeing what would work, and try and see which ones could match with new ideas and new scenes that I'm coming up with. I'm one of those people that visually see kind of like a scene of a movie, you know? I see like a quick 30-second snippet that seems really fun and really awesome, and then the question is, how do I expand that small scene into something bigger? So whenever I come up with ideas like this, I usually write them down on my phone or whatever so I don't lose that idea. And then many short films down the road, or the one that I'm currently working on, that idea comes back and it kind of becomes a focal point or one of the key elements in that story. From there, we kind of go into the more in-depth brainstorming process, where I like to kind of do like bullet notes, kind of a beat by beat, play by play of what the story and kind of the themes that we're going for are gonna look like. Again, this is really early on and really rough, but at least gives me an idea of kind of where the story is gonna flow and so on. Once I more or less have my play by play, I take those and kind of create scenes out of them. So for this latest short film, I have about 8 scenes. I've highlighted them, kind of going through beat by beat what happens in each of those scenes. Again, just breaking it down even further to a more digestible, like if I look at this piece of paper, I know what the story is and how it's gonna go. And once I've worked on that for a while and kind of got a grasp of where the story will go, I go straight into storyboarding. And you may be saying to yourself like, Marco, you're not writing a proper script? Like, what is this? To be very honest with you guys, I usually don't write full scripts for most of my projects. I'm a very big fan of like guerrilla style filmmaking, which is kind of like run and gun, where you have brief points, brief ideas, kind of know where everything wants to go, and then fill in the pieces from there. Don't get me wrong, it's maybe not the best style to use, especially for making like short films, but when they're as small scale as the films that I've made, I can usually get away with it. And that's not to say I haven't written scripts in the past, but for this short film in particular, there's very little to no dialogue, so I didn't really see a point to write a script. I figured just breaking down the points, creating a storyboard so I can visually see the movie was a lot better use of my time. I guess that segues into our storyboard section. Again, I don't do storyboarding for every single film that I do, but what I love about it is that visually on paper, you can see your movie in like a 2D way. If you go frame by frame, camera action by camera action, this is what my movie's gonna look like. So when I'm looking through my notes, I can see whether or not these elements are gonna work or what needs to change. And it sounds tedious, which it definitely is, but trust me, all this extra planning and all this making sure that you understand the story and that all these elements make sense will be worth it for the final product. So for the short film I'm currently working on, all my storyboard, my notes, they're pretty much done. Up until shooting day, I will probably make tweaks here and there just because that's the person I am. But I can say I'm pretty confident in what this final product's gonna be. The crazy thing too is that this element of creating a story, like your notes, your storyboarding, stuff like that, it's only one part of the pre-production. I'm also trying to figure out locations where I can shoot. Luckily for me, my scale doesn't need like extravagant locations where I need to rent. It's mainly just places that I know and places that I have quick and easy access to, which is awesome because it made my location scouting really easy. I could just go to these locations, set up my scene more or less the way I think it's gonna be set up, and get practice shots to see visually whether or not these scenes are gonna work. As for the cast and crew, I wanted to keep it very tight. I'm mainly going to be doing all the camera stuff, so it's going to be a very small cast and crew. And the main lead role will be my friend Andre, who had been in multiple short films prior. And for my secondary actor, who I needed just for a scene or two, I called upon Johnny, who again, I had worked with multiple times before. One of the new problems that I ran into, because this is more of an ambitious film, is that I was no longer just director, writer, editor, shooter. This film required props, makeup, wardrobe, so now I had to be the head of each of those departments. And one of the big makeup related things that I had to nail for this movie was the fake blood. So I watched a few videos online, realized it's mainly cornstarch, corn syrup, and food coloring, mixed it together, and then tried it on myself. All right, so at this point you know that I need fake blood in my short film, so I am testing it out before I put it on my actors, on myself. It's It's gonna droop from the nose. So this is more or less the consistency we kind of want. The color doesn't match, but we can adjust that after. So let's see if I can get it to like, 11 from Stranger Things down my nose. Let's try this out. That doesn't work too bad. It's all in my mouth now. I did it. Oh, baby, I did it! Yeah, I did it! And the bonus to doing this with corn syrup is that it's edible. So if it does run into, my mouth or my actor's mouth, whatever, there's no issues happening. And as I said, another one of those hats that I had to wear was wardrobe and makeup. And I tried my best. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? And it's not real blood, it's just fake, so. And the bonus thing is I have the exact same shirt. I bought another one, so that way I can have one with makeup, one without. They were both really cheap, so now, like, this extra step above and beyond makes me feel like a real filmmaker. That also meant setting up all the costumes for the actors, figuring out what scene I would need which wardrobe piece, whether I needed a bloody shirt in this scene or just a plain shirt. These are all things that I didn't really have to think about prior, but this film made me have to. Pre-production is something that don't overlook, is what I'm trying to say. It honestly makes or breaks a movie, and you can tell before anything's ever shot or anything ever comes to screen whether or not you're gonna have a good movie or at least a decent movie from just your pre-production alone. So don't overlook it, people. Trust me. I have in the past and it came to bite me in the ass. So that's more or less what my pre-production has looked like, but I wanted to take this time to round up, I guess, everything that I've learned over this last little bit and everything that I've learned through previous short films and put all that knowledge and learning together to give you a few tips for pre-producing or coming up with an idea and then pre-production for your next short film. Nailed it. Tip number 1, write what you can do. I think one thing that ruins so many short films is that they try to do too much. An epic action war drama would be awesome to make, but frankly speaking, none of us like low budget filmmakers have that budget or have that money, have the resources to do that, don't have the crazy cameras, don't have all those extras. So write for what you have. This short that I'm making right now, I know I have access to 6 or 7 locations, so those locations are the ones that I'm writing for. I know I only have access to 2 or 3 people, so I'm gonna write a script that only involves like 2 or 3 people. So before you even come up with an idea, figure out what resources or what props, people that you have access to, and write around them. Trust me, it will make your film better. Tip number 2, make small ideas, big ideas. This kind of ties back into tip number 1 where you're limited with certain things, so don't shoot for the stars here. Yeah, you may not be able to make that crazy action movie, but for my case, for example, for this short film, it's like a psychological thriller horror kind of film. And although it doesn't have big action set pieces, those little psychological moments, those small ideas, are turned into the big set pieces. Tip number 3 is don't get frustrated. Coming up with these ideas, writing, creating, molding the story is not gonna come easy. From everything that I'm estimating from this short film, it's gonna be about 3 to 5 minutes, and I've been planning for very long. I've been scratching out ideas, rewriting, redrawing certain storyboards. It's a process, and sometimes things aren't gonna work, and it's better to find them now than to find them on set. So don't get frustrated, just trust the process, everything will work out. Step number 4, plan, and then plan some more. What'd you expect? This whole video is based on pre-production. Before any short film that I shoot, I always get nervous, but I get less nervous and more confident the more I plan. So before you start shooting it, you should know this story. You should know everything like the back of your hand. And tip number 5, it's okay to fail. If this is your first short film or this is your 100th short film, no matter what, you are going to fail one way or another, but that's okay. When I go into these projects, yes, I'm trying to create a great story, but I'm mainly trying to improve myself, my craft. So even if you love 75% of what you made and that 25% you may have wanted to change afterwards, that's okay, because now you at least know the 75% of stuff that makes you a good filmmaker. And that extra little bit will come with practice. So your next short film, you have 80% of stuff that you like, 20%, and so on. I have made some stoinkers in my past, but I'm only here where I am today because of those. So fail, write character motives that don't make any sense, a story that goes nowhere, but just accept it and grow from it. That's all you can ask. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I'm gonna be filming the short sometime soon, hopefully. As of filming this, maybe by the time you see this, it'll already be filmed, who knows? But I'm excited to do it, and I think you should be excited as well, not just for the short film, but I'm gonna make a kind of, I hope, a little 3-part trilogy here of me making this short. I'm getting pretty excited to do this, and you should be excited not just for the short film, but for everything that I'm planning around it as well. This will be kind of like the pre-production episode of like how I put it together. Then I want to do some other videos that take a look at the production element of me shooting it, kind of the behind the scenes there, and another one of my post-production, kind of going through editing and everything like that, just to create kind of like a story chapter of this is what it was like filming and making this monster. In the meantime, follow my socials. I got my Instagram linked down below. Subscribe for more of this kind of content, and until next time, I'm Marco Pereira. See you on the set, lads. Ciao for now.